Yeah, I know that, but we never talk about when Fordham Prep loses any time, as you would talk about Iona, as two good Jesuit boys with Shimsky to come to the podium for purposes of presentation. Legislator Shimsky.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Tonight, I am so happy to be honoring the Ardsley High School Academic Challenge team. This year, they won the MSG Quiz Bowl tournament, the challenge, beating 190 other school teams. This is a real singular achievement. I'm an academic challenge mom myself, and I know how difficult it is, how chancy it is. You never know which questions are going to come up. You have to be prepared for everything. You have to be fast with the buzzer. And these students really excelled. And we spent a lot of time here honoring the athletic teams, and we've been doing a lot of science awards lately. But just in terms of raw academic achievement, it's important to remember that just like a great athlete is generally an athlete all the time. They just don't go to football practice 2 hours a day and suddenly become outstanding. It's being physical is who they are. They probably play a large variety of sports. They do a lot of physical conditioning, and that's what makes them the outstanding athletes they are. Similarly, with academic challenge students, this is a 24/7 pursuit. These are people who really believe that knowledge is power and lives their life that way. They do some studying to fill in some gaps in their knowledge, but you cannot do really well in the academic challenge format just by studying alone. You have to be a well-rounded, very knowledgeable person. So these students have really excelled at both. And it's a really great achievement, and I'm so glad to be honoring one of my local school districts for excelling in this endeavor. At this point, I'd like to call down the team members. Joshua Berlowitz, Bettina Chiang, Adam Gross-Lashiski, Rohan Pitri, and Captain Ryan Rosenberg. Okay, Rohan and Ryan, come on. All right. Before we take the photos, would a spokesperson for the team like to say a few words? Before we do that, though, I'd like to mention that the coach, Danielle Wagner, who has done such a wonderful job with these students, was unable to be with us tonight with one of the best excuses I've ever heard. She's in Tahiti. But I understand that some of the photos are going to be emailed to her fairly quickly. So do we have a team spokesperson?
On behalf of the team and the club as a whole, we'd like to thank the Board of Legislators for putting forth this effort and honoring the team this way. This was a long journey, and it's something we're very proud of, and it's very nice that the Board of Legislators has done this as a recognition. Thanks to our coach, Ms. Wagner, who unfortunately couldn't be here. Thanks to Legislator Shimsky for putting this together, and thanks to the rest of my team members for being such great teammates and helping us get to where we got to. Thanks.
MJ, we'll do the other. Okay. 'Cause it- All right. All right, I call this regular meeting of the Westchester County Board of Legislators to order. If we all could please rise. As Legislator Borgia leads us in the pledge of the flag. Almighty God, give us the strength, the courage, and wisdom to always act in this chamber in the best interest of the people of Westchester County. Let us keep in mind that every decision that we make impacts upon the life, health, and safety of all our great county residents. Amen. Madam Clerk.
Majority Leader Harcum.
Here.
Minority Leader Mazzano.
Here.
Ms. Borgia.
Here.
Mr. Burrows. Mr. Gelfarb.
He is here.
Mr. Kaplowitz.
Present.
Ms. Marcotte. Ms. Myers.
Here.
Ms.
Here.
Mr. Ryan. Ms. Shimsky.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Ms. Spreckman. Mr. Testa.
Here.
Ms. Williams.
Here.
Mr. Williams. Mr. Chairman.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Gelfar. We did have you on right by the door when we did attendance. Thank you so much. Mr. Harcum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would move the consent agenda with the following proposed revisions. On page 2 and 3, items 3, 4, and 5, sever, please. On page 4, items 8 and 10, we would remove Committee on Environment and Energy. On page 6, number 7, we would add Committee on Budget and Appropriations. And on page 9, we would add legislators A. Williams, Catherine Borgia, Legislator Catherine Borgia, and Legislator Judy Myers. And with that, so moved.
Thank you, Mr. Harcum. Mr. Mazzano. We're in agreement. We are on the consent agenda. Mr. Harcum, on the minutes approval.
On the severed items, would
Oh,
we
I'm
like to
sorry.
address that? We would over those.
Thank you, Mr. Harcum. I apologize for the items that were severed. They are over to the next meeting. Mr. Harcum, on the minutes approval.
Yeah, the minutes of Monday, June 18th, the 7 p.m. meeting.
Members without objection? So ordered. Madam Clerk, let's go for public comment.
Speakers are allowed 3 minutes. I'll call the names of the speakers and ask that you please come down the side aisle to my left. I have one card, Ed Riley.
My name is Ed Riley. I'm from Croton.
It's about the 30th time I've asked this legislature to investigate the conduct of Planned Parenthood in Westchester County, using public funds and their own funds, especially lately how they've administered RU46. By this time, I've hoped the 5 super abortionists in this legislature had taken advantage of the invitation of Lisa Windrum and gone down to the Getty Square abortion mill and see how they administer RU46. Then they can follow the women as they go into severe cramping and profuse bleeding, and then they can go to the toilet bowl and observe the child that has just been killed. Usually that arrives at home. So I doubt that Lisa is going to give Ms. Perez and Ms. Borgia and Ms. Myers and Ms. Williams and Mr. Hartman a tour of that entire rep, even though she made that invitation. I believe it is totally insincere. Or she could go to one of the surgical abortion mills in Westchester and observe the children in a bucket. Last week I gave you a picture of one of those children in a Chinese abortion case, which came to the attention of the American public because of the work of 2 Chinese journalists, because the American press doesn't think these things are newsworthy. This was a forced abortion of a 7-month-old child. When you look at the record and find out how Chinese and Indian officials were trained in forced sterilization and forced abortion, who do you find? Planned Parenthood International and USAID trained these people in the 70s and has been feeding them people ever since. Just like the County of Westchester has transferred their employees back and forth between Planned Parenthood, especially under Democratic pro-abortion administrations. The second thing, you've heard the line of crap that these Democrats have given about caring about women. And then you notice that in the House of Representatives, they voted against sex selection abortion. Here's something else they never bring up. The leading cause of death among pregnant women in the United States is murder. This is a list of the cases. I'll just read you 1 or 2. Miss Adams was pregnant with a child of a former National Football League player, Ray Caruth, when she was shot to death by Van Brett Watkins and Michael Kennedy. Why? She refused to have an abortion. Stephen Chavone demanded that his girlfriend have an abortion, and because she refused, he killed her by shooting in the back of the head. It goes on and on, folks. These folks over here, male and female, say they are in favor of women's rights. That's a lie, because they don't care if women die.
Mr. Chairman, I have no other cards.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let us go with unfinished business.
Item 5121, this item was held over from the June 18, 2012 regular board meeting, appears here as an item of unfinished business for action. From the Committees on Budget and Appropriations and Government Operations, an act authorizing Westchester County to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the City of Yonkers whereby the county would finance certain infrastructure improvements and be granted an easement to access said improvements in support of a fair and affordable housing development to be known as Warburton Riverview Apartments, located in the city, and accept such property rights.
Mr. Harkin.
Would postpone to a date certain, July 30th.
Thank you, Mr. Harkin. The item is postponed to July 30th.
Item 5122, this item was held over from the June 18, 2012 regular board meeting, appears here as an item of unfinished business for action. From the Committees on Budget and Appropriations and Government Operations, a bond act authorizing the issuance of $2,750,000 in bonds of the county to finance capital project BPL-01, Warburton Riverview Apartments, Yonkers.
Mr. Harkin.
Again, Mr. Chair, postpone to a date certain, July 30th.
Thank you, Mr. Harkin. Just for clarification, members, when you have an item that's postponed to, you have to have a date certain to have postponed to a date certain. Mr. Holcomb is proposing that date. There is a potential of having a special meeting on that date, and we will convene and check with the members to see who is here, which we did ask
Point of
for.
information.
Thank you, Mr.
What happens if we don't have a meeting that night and we just voted to postpone it to that date?
That would be, at that point, Mr. Maisano, that it would still be an item of unfinished business, and then we would have to take it up appropriately. We would have to go through our minutes to determine what would be the right course of action. Because it would be kind of suspended legislation at that point in time. But again, to check with all our members to make sure that everyone is going to be available, especially that we don't go into a recess period, we meet the entire year. Right? That's one of the things that we'll do in the call, Mr. Burrows, is to check the times that everyone would be available, or the majority of folks would be available. Madam Clerk.
Under Standing Committees, item 5397 from the Committee on Budget Appropriations is a resolution setting a public hearing in the chambers of the County Board of Legislators on an act adopting the Westchester Community College budget for 2012-2013 and making appropriations for the operation of Westchester Community College.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, I would like to move that we set this public hearing for August 6th, 2012 at 10:30 in the morning.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Madam Clerk, a short roll call vote.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Harcum?
Yes.
Mr. Maisano? Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Approved 15-0. Item 5398 from the Committee on Budget and Appropriations, a resolution suspending certain rules of the Board of Legislators solely with regard to the 2012-2013 proposed community college budget.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, so moved, as we have done every year, to suspend these rules so that we may vote on the community college budget.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Members on the resolution? Unless there is objection, members will take the prior short roll call vote for the approval of the resolution. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Item 5399 from the Committee on Budget and Appropriations, WCC Budget 2012-2013 Public Hearing Rules.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, as is done yearly, I move that we accept the WCC budget public hearing rules.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Members on this item? Unless there's objection, members will take the prior short roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Item 5082 from the Committee on Appointments, reappointment of Kenneth Hofferth as an Association of Fire Districts representative member of the Westchester County Fire Advisory Board for a term to expire December 31st, 2012.
Ms. Shimsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hofferth has served his committee ably and well, and I therefore am pleased to move his reappointment.
Thank you, Ms. Shimsky. Members on this item? Unless there's objection, we'll take the prior short roll call. No, we have to do a long roll call. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We can do a new short roll call vote. Let's have a new short roll call vote.
Ms. Shimsky.
Aye.
Mr. Harcum.
Yes.
Mr. Maisano. Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Approved 15-0. Item 5084 from the Committee on Appointments is the reappointment of Elizabeth Paul as a member of the Westchester County Soil and Water Conservation District Board of Directors for a term to expire December 31st, 2014.
Ms. Shimsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Paul has also served her committee capably, and we're happy she's agreed to re-up and therefore move her reappointment.
Thank you, Ms. Shimsky. Members on this item? Unless there's objection, members will take the prior short roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Item 5085 from the Committee on Appointments, reappointment of Deborah Matistic as an at-large member of the Westchester County Women's Advisory Board for a term to expire December 31st, 2013.
Ms. Shimsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Matistic has also served her respective committee well, and I am happy to move her reappointment.
Thank you, Ms. Shimsky. Members on this item? Unless there's objection, members will take the prior short roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Item 5275 from the Committee on Appointments, the reappointment of the Honorable Cecile Singer as an at-large member of the Westchester County Women's Advisory Board for a term to expire December 31st, 2013.
Ms. Shimsky.
Ms. Singer has also served her committee well, and we urge her reappointment as well.
Thank you, Ms. Shimsky. Members on this item? Unless there's objection, members will take the prior short roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Item 5338 from the Committee on Budget and Appropriations, an act amending and increasing the 2011 operating budget in the amount of $94,284,261 for the purposes of the disproportionate share intergovernmental transfer, legal aid society subsidy, and payments to the New York State Common Retirement Fund.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, this is an item that was voted out of Budget and Appropriations. It is an act that does amend the 2011 operating budget for the purposes of closing it out. And the expenditure or the transfer of $94 million is basically divided into three sections. $73 million goes into the disproportionate share, the intergovernmental transfer with the medical center. Close to $500,000, $409,000 goes to legal aid society subsidy, and approximately $21 million is a payment to the New York State Retirement Fund. So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Members on this item? Madam Clerk, a long roll call vote.
Mr. Harcum.
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano. Ms. Borgia. Mr. Burrows. Mr. Gelfarb. Mr. Kaplowitz.
Aye.
Ms. Marcotte. Ms. Myers.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Ms. Shimsky.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Spreckman. Mr. Testa. Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Approved 15-0. Item 5340 from the Committee on Budget Appropriations, an act authorizing the transfer of funds between various county departments in the amount of $6,108,058. This transfer is needed to complete the 2011 fiscal year on a sound financial basis.
Mr. Harcum.
I recommit, Mr. Chair.
On the motion of Mr. Harcum, the item is recommitted.
Item 5046 from the Committees on Government Operations and Budget and Appropriations, an act authorizing the execution and delivery of a quitclaim deed to ATCO Noble Chemicals for approximately 7.17 acres of property in the town of Greenburgh.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, I will turn this right over to Government Operations as well as to the legislator who represents this area, but this is a quitclaim deed with regards to a parcel of land that, although the county had indicated that it had no need for this land back in 1926, when they amended a 1925 map, apparently it was never recorded in the county clerk's office, and therefore this action is required in order to remove our name from the deed. So I will pass this over to Legislator Borgia.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Ms. Borgia.
Thank you, Ms. Myers has covered it very ably. It was an erroneous notation on a map that had not been cleaned up, even though a prior map indicated that the indication that the county had a strip of land as a parcel that was owned by the county. It was in fact an erroneous notation.
Thank you, Ms. Borgia. Members on this item, Ms. Shimsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As part of our process, I checked with the town of Greenburgh and the village of Ardsley, who control the surrounding areas, and neither municipality had any objection to this quitclaim deed.
Thank you, Ms. Shimsky. Members on this item? Members, unless there's objection, we'll take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Item 5391 from the Committees on Public Safety and Security and Budget and Appropriations, An act to authorize the County of Westchester to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the Village of Irvington, pursuant to which the village, through its police department, will assist the county in enforcing the Westchester County for Hire Vehicle Law, Chapter 270 of the Westchester County Administrative Code.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, I would like to just point out that the essence of this is that the county will provide 25% of all revenues that come from the enforcement of the for-hire vehicles through the Taxi and Limousine Commission back to the participating municipalities. We could take these next two together, Irvington and Bedford, and I would turn this over to Legislator Perez.
Ms. Perez.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This IMA will allow the County Police Department to train the local police department of said municipality to enforce the for-hire vehicle law. The village will assist the county by the county by having its police department issue appearance tickets to any person, partnership, corporation, or other entity violating the for-hire vehicle law. The county will prosecute, hear, and determine the appearance ticket in accordance with the terms of the IMA and for-hire vehicle law. So moved.
Members on this item. Ms. Shimsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I represent the Village of Irvington, which is very pleased that we're moving forward with this. This is one of the great cliches in government is win-win-win, but this really is a win-win-win. It's a win for the county that will get its laws vindicated, and it's a win for the riding public, and it's also a win for the local village, who will retain a percentage of the receipts from the tickets issued.
Thank you, Ms. Shimsky. Other members? Mr. Harcum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you know, I represent the town of Bedford, which is technically the next item, but since we're taking both items together, I thought one of the things that was important, we've heard about the benefits for both the public and the municipalities. One of the things that came out in our conversations, particularly with the owners of the cab companies and some of the drivers, is the issue of a cultural appreciation of an understanding of the TLC laws, and in some cases there's just simply a language barrier and a culture barrier. So what the TLC has said that they will do is in a culturally appropriate manner, in a bilingual manner, meet with the cab companies and explain why a trip log is necessary. Things that you know, people in these types of things generally don't break the law to break the law. It's just they don't necessarily know them. So just to be fair to the drivers and the cab companies, the TLC has said it will step up its outreach in both English and in Spanish, so that everybody has an understanding of what the ground rules are, and that nobody feels picked on in the process.
Thank you, Mr. Harcum. Other members on this item? I know that in the committee that there was a request for the Department of Public Safety, and I guess through the Taxi and Limousine Commission, to provide a similar report to as it does on the Department of Public Safety's profiling report to identify similarities or concerns. And thank you, Mr. Harcum, for bringing up the point that the TLC did identify some concerns that members brought up throughout the discussions on this particular for-hire vehicle legislation. And we look forward to seeing that information and seeing how this thing turns out. Unless there's objection, members, we'll take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Item 5390 from the Committees on Public Safety and Security and Budget and Appropriations. An act to authorize the County of Westchester to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the Town of Bedford, pursuant to which the town, through its police department, will assist the county in enforcing the Westchester County for Hire Vehicle Law, Chapter 270 of the Westchester County Administrative Code.
Ms. Myers.
So moved.
As previously discussed, so moved. Unless there's objections, members, we'll take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Item 5323 from the Committee on Budget Appropriations, a bond act authorizing the County of Westchester to refund all or a portion of various outstanding 2009 Series A general obligation serial bonds and 2009 Series A general obligation term bonds, appropriating an amount not to exceed $95,480,000 to accomplish the refunding and authorizing the issuance of up to $95,480,000 in new refunding bonds.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, this is a very, very smart and good news kind of bond act that is requesting that we authorize the refunding, the refinancing, in essence, of our 2009 Series A bonds in the amount of $95.5 million, $480,000 million, over $95 million. It's a lot of money, which will save anywhere between, at the low end, probably around $850,000 to the county, the high end at around $1.1 million to the county, depending on what the interest rate is at the time that we go to market. This is anticipated to be in mid-July to early August, sometime in the next few weeks, and the savings will be reflected in the 2013 debt. So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Members on this item? Unless there's objection, members will take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Item 5335 from the Committees on Government Operations and Budget Appropriations, an act amending the 2012 County Capital Budget Appropriation for Capital Project A066C, Miscellaneous Restoration and Rehab.
Ms. Borgia.
Thank you. This is the first of a number of items on our agenda tonight that deal with our application to the FAA for grant money. In this particular instance, the measure was adopted back in December of 2011 with a 5% match from the county. Subsequent to that, the county learned that some changes at the FAA grant process required that we appropriate 10% of the grant money. In previous years, we had, after the application was made application to the state to fund half of our portion of these grants, and we intend to do that as well this year. However, the application process is such that we need to have an act that states that we will pay the 10% match up front, and then after that application has been processed, we can go to the state for the 5% that we believe that they will contribute to the cost of this work. The actual work that this is going to cover, this is for miscellaneous rehab for 2011 to 2015, repaving of the Hangar 6 public apron, to install an aircraft fence, and some drainage work. That's what's covered in this particular grant. So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Borgia. Members on this item? Without objection, members will take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Item 5337 from the Committees on Government Operations and Budget Appropriations, an act amending Act 2005, Act amending Act 205, 2011, which authorized the county to apply for and enter into a grant agreement with the FAA for Capital Project A066C, Miscellaneous Restoration Rehab, to increase the county's share to 10% of the estimated project cost.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, this is just furtherance of what Legislator Borgia just described. This would allow us to amend this act so that we could provide the 10% estimated project cost before we look to the state to reimburse us for half of that. So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. So for clarity, that basically there's not a difference in the dollar amount. That is the bottom line. There's no difference in the bottom line dollar amount. There's just
There
some.
is a difference.
Okay.
Yes.
There is a difference, but the expectation is that New York State is going to take care of the other 5%. Is that correct?
That is our understanding.
Okay. Members on this item? Without objection, members will take the prior law and roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Item 5010 from the Committees on Budget Appropriations and Government Operations, a bond act authorizing the issuance of up to $35,000 in bonds of the county to finance design of capital project RB 111 North Division Street, Peekskill.
Ms. Borgia.
Thank you. The Committee on Government Operations asked some extensive questions about this project, but it is basically a road repair project. This specific section of road has an annual daily traffic count of about 13,798, so almost 14,000 cars pass by on this. It does have an average pavement condition of 75, which on a range of 0 to 100 puts it in the close to need of repair, but the difficulty is on this particular street that there are several parts of the street that have very low PCI ratings, including some that are in the dangerous range of the 50s. So this is a project that is going to, although this bond is for design only, this is a project that's going to be paired with an item that's later on our agenda, South Division Street. The administration is, the Department of Public Works is going to work on both of these at the same time in order to achieve cost savings and other government efficiencies. So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Borgia. Members on this item, Mr. Testa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Just to tag on to a little bit about Ms. Borgia, Legislator Borgia explained about this project. It's in conjunction with number 18, which is the South Division Crampon Road. These two projects together span about 1.5 miles of the east-west corridor of northern Westchester, a very critical corridor for traffic, obviously, but for commerce going all across Cortland into Yorktown. This road in particular has a major state project going on from where the county road ends and where the state picks up. The state's doing an extensive project with this road, so this will be paired up with that. So it'll be quite a long stretch of redone road. It's very in bad shape. As Legislator Borgia mentioned, the Division Street, the North Division Street section is not quite as bad as the rest of it, but it's all connected, so to do it all at once makes sense. And this in conjunction with the Main Street project, which we passed last year, and will now have the whole northern east coast, east to west corridor paved and in safe condition. But I would like to just recommend, I know historically in the past, design was broken out separate from the construction of projects. It seems to me, especially in a project like this, that it would behoove us to put them together, pass it together so you could do the design and go straight into the construction, saving time and money for the county. So even though it's too late for these projects, I hope to think about it for the future to bring our infrastructure up to date in a quicker way, saving money and enabling our county to be upgraded in a quicker and efficient way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Testa. Ms. Myers.
Yes, with respect to the previous comment, I can assure all of the members of Budget and Appropriations that we move with all due diligence and all sense of speed as possible, knowing the importance of these public works jobs to both the economy in Westchester County as well as the public safety in Westchester County, and whether we approve them initially for construction design and construction management or for the entire project, we move with all haste. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Other members on this item? I think that, again, thank you, Mr. Testa, for pointing out that it's been the tradition to break up the jobs into design and construction for various reasons. The main one being that we have a better idea of how much money the jobs are going to cost so that we're not over-investing, if you will, and that has helped us to keep Westchester's AAA bond rating and not have us in the same difficult situations that we find our neighbors in Rockland, Suffolk, and Nassau in at this particular time as far as bonding is concerned. Mr. Testa also mentioned that one of the scenarios that we have to continue to keep in mind, I know that the Government Operations Committee has worked very diligently in trying to understand how the priorities come up, and in the case of the roads, when they're combined with other projects like state projects where it makes sense to do. Although it's not the worst rated road in the county set of roads, it certainly makes sense to consider at that point in time. So again, thank you, Ms. Borgia, for your due diligence in that committee. I know that it's difficult from time to time to gather information for the committee to deliberate, but you have done a tremendous job, you and the Budget Appropriations Committee, to try to make sure that we have that. Unless there's objection, members, we'll take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Item 5068 from the Committees on Budget and Appropriations and Government Operations, a bond act authorizing the issuance of up to $775,000 in bonds of the county to finance capital project BPS 18 Armory Public Safety Academy upgrade.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, we're asking here for bonding legislation in the amount of $775,000 for the study and design of the conversion of the existing New York State Armory facility, which has now been turned over to Westchester County, so that we can have additional space for a variety of public safety operational units. So we definitely look forward to getting this study underway. It will be done in-house, and we look forward to eventually hearing the recommendations that come out of this study. And having said that, I would like to turn this over to Government Operations. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Ms. Borgia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did have an extensive discussion with the Public Safety Commissioner regarding the use of this building. As Legislator Myers says, it is a county-owned building now, and their desire to use this building reflects their desire to be able to execute operationally functions that work better when they are in close proximity with each other. So, as Ms. Myers mentioned, the study will show us exactly how the building can be best used, but we do look forward to making best use of this particular county asset.
Thank you, Ms. Borgia. Other members on this item? Unless there's objection, members, we'll take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Item 5108 from the Committees on Budget and Appropriations and Government Operations, a bond act authorizing the issuance of up to $240,000 in bonds of the county to finance design of capital project RB 142 South Division Street, Crown Pond Road, Peekskill.
Ms. Borgia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We discussed this a little bit in our earlier item. This is a longer stretch of Division Street, which is 1.38 miles. It does have a lower pavement condition index, meaning it is in greater need of repair. It has also a significant annual daily traffic count. Annual average daily traffic count. And as my colleague, Mr. Testa, mentioned, it is a significant commercial corridor within the community, traveled by not only residents of that community, but many residents of Westchester County. And to Mr. Testa's point, I do want to mention that the Department of Public Works is working in close collaboration with the municipalities impacted by this project in order to make sure that this project proceeds smoothly. There is a lot of work being done in this general area, but we do think it is very important to coordinate our efforts thusly. So move.
Thank you, Ms. Borgia. Mr. Testa.
Yes, thank you very much. I just want to clarify a little bit what I said earlier. When I said traditionally they were split between design and construction, that was in the past. When I first got on the board here 3 years ago, it was not that way. It was passed as a combination, and now recently we're going back to separating them, which is, fine. But and I appreciate Legislator Myers' expression of wanting to get these projects moving in a timely way as possible. So I want to thank her for that. So hopefully we can get the design done quickly and get it back on the committee's schedule to go into the construction phase, and then we can get the project moving in a timely way. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Testa. Members on this item. And again, one of the things that we have from a documentation perspective that is in front of us, RB 142, this South Division Street project, was just presented to this was part of our capital program for 2012, and I'm sure that was part of the good work of the Department of Public Works last year in presenting that. That was appropriations for 2012. On the previous bond act on North Division Street, we just need to note for the record that that was appropriated by this Board of Legislators in 2009. So it only bubbled up to the surface now in 2012, but the board already had approved that back in 2009. Ms. Test, I call it in your... Before your time, but Mr. Orles' time was there for 2009 at that particular time. So, unless there's objection, members, we'll take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Item 5248 from the Committees on Budget Appropriations and Government Operations, a bond act authorizing the issuance of up to $80,000 in bonds of the county to finance capital project BSS 13 infrastructure improvements to shelter facilities, Vernon Plaza Family Center.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, this is a bond act, as mentioned, in the amount of $80,000 to finance the cost of design in connection with the replacement of existing roofing, air conditioning units, and miscellaneous repairs at what is actually now known as the Von Glanton Employment Residence at Vernon Plaza. Had formerly been known as the Vernon Plaza Family Center in Mount Vernon. The reason this is more than the 10% that we usually see for design, 10% of the estimated total project cost, is because this design is of mechanical systems such as air conditioning units, et cetera, that does require a little bit more work in the way of design. And I will turn this over to Government Operations Chair to discuss further. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Ms. Borgia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the work being covered under this project include roofing repairs, HVAC repairs, as mentioned by Legislator Myers, structural repairs around the building. There's also some significant environmental testing on the roof and the mechanical equipment, including plumbing and electric. They are designing this. The design work is being done in-house. It has about 3 to 4 month design expectation, and if all goes well and the design proceeds as smoothly as they anticipate, that they'll probably be ready to bid this project in the fourth quarter of this year and try to begin the work in the spring of 2013. And I'm sure that the residents of this building will be very happy with it. It seems that this is going to vastly improve the quality of life of the residents of this facility.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Borgia. Members on this item? I'm just looking at the bond act. Without objection, members will take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Item 5319 from the Committees on Legislation and Budget and Appropriations, a resolution to set a public hearing on a local law amending Chapter 836 of the laws of Westchester by adding a new section 836.22 to specify requirements for federally funded purchases.
Ms. Myers.
Yes. I'd like to set the public hearing for August 6th at 10:30 a.m. So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Unless there's objection, members will take the prior long roll call vote for the setting of the public hearing. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Item 5364 from the Committees on Budget Appropriations and Government Operations, an act amending the 2012 County Capital Budget Appropriation for Capital Project A042B Stormwater Management Program.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, this is in keeping with the two previous items that had to do with FAA funding, where we saw a change that came to be that reduced the federal funding from 95% to 90%, requiring that the county up its ante from 5% to 10%. However, we will, of course, ask that New York State reimburse us the half that we had asked for before. This time it would be 5%. And at this point, I would turn this over to Catherine Borgia, Legislator Borgia, to discuss what exactly is to be done at the airport.
Ms. Borgia.
Thank you. This is for the creation of the stormwater management program, which is involving many of the operations that happen at the site. It is a we have a stormwater management program. This is to revise and update the program. I believe the last time it was revised was quite a while ago. It's probably, I want to say it's more than 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Borgia. Members on this item? Unless there's objection, members will take the prior long roll call vote for approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Item 5366 from the Committees on Budget and Appropriations and Government Operations, an act amending Act 207-2011, authorizing the county to apply for and enter into an agreement with the Federal Aviation Administration for Capital Project A042B, Stormwater Management Program, increasing the county share to 10% of the estimated cost.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, as previously discussed, so moved.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Members on this item? Unless there's objection, members will take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Item 5367 from the Committees on Budget and Appropriations and Government Operations, an act amending the 2012 County Capital Budget Appropriations for Capital Project A054A, rehab of various taxiways.
Ms. Myers.
Yes. Again, this is a capital budget amendment to reflect the need for additional funding to meet the requirements of the newly established 90-10% share with the federal government on this, and this is for taxiways, and I will turn this over to Legislator Borgia.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Ms. Borgia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this is the similar situation that this act was passed in 2011, needs to be amended because of the difference of the share. The rehab is to do work on various taxiways to keep our to keep us operational at the airport. Miscellaneous work, not basically routine repair work that is needed to keep the taxiways in good operational order.
Thank you, Ms. Borgia. Members on this item? Unless there's objection, member will take the prior long roll call vote for approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Item 5368 from the Committees on Budget and Appropriations and Government Operations, an act authorizing the county to amend Act 206-2011, authorizing the county to apply for and enter into a grant agreement with the Federal Aviation Administration for Capital Project A054A, rehabilitation of various taxiways, and increasing the county share to 10% of the project cost.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, as previously discussed, so moved.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Members on this item? Unless there's objection, members will take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Item 5392 from the Committees on Budget Appropriations and Government Operations, an act approving certain financial terms and conditions of employment, requiring legislative approval by law in a collective bargaining agreement for those employees represented by the Westchester County Correction Officers Benevolent Association for the 7-year period commencing January 1, 2009 through December 31st, 2015.
Ms. Myers.
Okay. Yes, this was approved through both government operations and budget and appropriations. I will turn this over, but before I do so, I would like to just point out a few cogent points that are seen in this agreement. This is the Correction Officers Benevolent Association agreement, and this was provided to us by the administration who handles the negotiations. It represents a negotiated agreement on a 7-year contract with the Correction Officers Benevolent Association from January 1st, 2009 to January 31st, 2015. It should be noted that COBA is the second oldest union in our county. It represents 714 officers. This particular contract covers compensation retroactive to 2009, with increases to 2009, 10, and 11 of 3, 3, and 2.5%. Further years increases of 2.5% don't begin actually until July of each year. And in 2012, it doesn't begin until the second quarter. So some savings have been found to the county there. All of these raises are fully retroactive to any bargaining unit member who works during the term of agreement, but not to those who retired under the state incentive of 2010, which we were told pertained to 17 individuals. Importantly, like the Teamsters, it includes an employee contribution to health insurance premium, and it applies across the board of 12.5% contribution in 2012, 13% in 2013, 14% in 2014, and 15% in 2015. There is a provision in this that was not in the Teamsters contract, however, interestingly, that caps the premium equivalent growth at 6.5%. Much of this is built on the expectation that there will be 50 new hires by the Corrections Department in January and January of 2013 out of 6,000 people who sat for this test. The agreed upon this agreement also changes copays and prescription drug copays. And at this point, I will turn this over to Government Operations.
Thank you. Ms. Borgia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Legislator Myers says, there are salary increases in every year of this agreement, and the one particular item of note that we discussed in Government Operations was retirees, that it was important to the negotiation from the union side that the existing retirees, that their terms would, in terms of their contribution to their health care, would not be changed to what they have now, although new hirees in this contract do have significantly different terms of employment than the current corrections officers. As Legislator Myers said, there is a belief that there will be a great deal of movement in terms of our population, basically because of the standard career life cycle in this particular job. It is obviously a difficult and dangerous job, and is very taxing both physically and mentally. So in Government Operations, we did have a discussion about what they anticipate our employment needs going forward would to be, and because we have many correctional officers who have been on the job for a while, we do anticipate that there will be a need to hire many new corrections officers under the years that are covered by this agreement. So financially, that will be successful for the county, as the new hirees will come in with a significantly changed employment agreement than our current employees have. However, we had a lot of questions both in Government Operations and in Budget and Appropriations. It does appear that both sides of the negotiation were satisfied with the terms of the agreement, and that this is something that that might be beneficial to both sides.
Thank you, Ms. Borgia. Members on this item? Unless there's objection, members, we'll take the prior long roll call vote for approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 15-0. Under special orders from the Chairman of the Board, item 5422, an act for the purposes of establishing a standard workday for each elective or appointive office or position.
Mr. Harcum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. These items normally come through the Rules Committee. They're fairly standard item. We do them annually, which basically verifies to the state that all of us are working the appropriate number of hours. This one is for the 4 new members who were elected and joined us this year. So again, this is the standard workday, and it just verifies that we and the new legislators are in compliance. So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Harcum. Members on this item? Just for clarification, we have this regulation 315.4, New York State reporting. that requires that the governing board adopts the standard workday and reporting resolution at the first meeting held after 180 days of the term's beginning. So we are required to do this particular thing. It's very important for our new legislators that we do this, because the ones that were here already were included in that Standard Workday Act. So we needed to do that. Unless there's objection, members, we'll take the prior long roll call vote for approval of the item. So ordered. Madam Clerk.
Approved 15-0. Motions, resolutions, call of the districts.
Motions, resolutions, call of districts. Members, Ms. Shimsky.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The Ardsley Academic Challenge Team was not the only academic challenge team in my district to excel this year. The Hastings High School Academic Challenge Team, which was unable to attend tonight, won their third small school national championship at Nationals this past June. I'd like to congratulate the members of the winning team, Christopher Erdman, Matthew O'Connor, Vasilis Rusadajakis, and Isaac Shimsky Augusto. No nepotism there. No, I was instructed to say that Shimsky's actually a very common name in the old country, and we're not at all related. Anyway, they've done very well, as they have for years. I'd like to congratulate their coach, Michael Duff, who had to fill very big shoes when Brian McGinnis retired a couple years ago, and he stepped in without missing a beat, and they keep winning under him as well. So congratulations to all.
Thank you, Ms. Shimsky. Ms. Myers.
Yes, I rise not on behalf of my individual district, but on behalf of the committee in which I chair, Budget and Appropriations. I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed, especially those who are watching possibly at home, that about some of the things that have been occurring where the Budget and Appropriations Committee has been asking very, very vigilantly and seriously for more information on a number of different items. And we're even moved to have to subpoena for this information, which we still did not receive. We're now hoping that we'll be able to have part of a FOIL request for this information. However, something came up today in the committee that was just another way of underscoring exactly why it's so important for budget and appropriations for the committee to be able to have all of the information it needs to be able to do its job. We were asked to consider legislation pertaining to actually a very sort of intricate change in the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, GASB, in one of their statements. And we had some concerns. We were trying to figure this out and asked for more information. We did not pass this through Budget and Appropriations because we do need more information. But what became very, very obvious in our discussion was why this board has, or this committee has been asking to be on our rating agency phone calls, because we were told what rating agencies say and would say, but we have no way of participating in such a call. And so we would again request that we please need to be on these rating agency calls, that we need to have all of the information that we ask for so that we can do what we are here to do in terms of working on our budget and our appropriations and making sure we do the best work that we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shimsky. Ms. Myers. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Myers. Stop. All right. Thank you, Ms. Myers, for that information. And to underscore, I guess, one of the things that Ms. Myers just referred to, again, on charter-required information that has been requested and subsequently subpoenaed from Commissioner, Budget Director Soul regarding the money that's been money from departments that are part of the budget process. There is a follow-up that is ensuing for the ignoring of that particular subpoena, and we'll see how that all works out. However, the law enforcement agencies have that. It's a subpoena from a governing body, and whatever course that takes, it will take. But as far as this information, I know there's been many discussions on it, Ms. Myers, and thank you for bringing it up again. That in the Budget Appropriations Committee today, we were told that someone would tell us something and then said that the rating agencies would not give that information in writing. So we need to trust whoever is telling us that information. And I know that we had legislation to make sure that we required that the Board of Legislators had a member from Budget Appropriations Committee, you being the chair at this point in time, to deal with that, as well as representatives from the chair of the board as well, so that we would make sure that we did not have an error and a repeat of what we had in 2011, where we were down, we were placed on negative outlook because management, who we're still trying to figure out who management is, said something that was misinterpreted. They never followed up with a letter, and we were told, I guess today, that they were going to work hard in trying to remove that negative outlook since we are in such a great position from a fund balance position. It's just really unfortunate that we can't get base information to make those decisions. Thanks again, Ms. Myers. Other members? Mr. Kaplowitz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Two items. One, I'd like to join Legislator Harcum in memorializing Honorable Dick Lemon, former councilman. Second, we used to have a newspaper in the county that would report on news. But in lieu of that, I thought I would go to the airwaves and maybe do our own little reporting. A law took effect that I believe every legislator here voted for 6 months ago. It just took effect June 13th. That should be effectuated on every street corner where there are gas stations in Westchester County. And hopefully constituents will note that there's now less deceptive gasoline advertising that's occurring for those stations that are charging a discount for cash. Many of us look at it as an increased premium for using a credit card, that there are both prices that are now listed or should be listed. So if you see stations that don't have it, in fact, they are not being clear. And then there are a lot of stations, of course, that charge the same price. And we're seeing a little bit of competition break out. And hopefully, through that knowledge and competition, maybe that practice will end, or maybe even the differential in price between the discount for cash and the premium, if you will, for credit will also shrink. A lot of parts of the country have 5, 6, 7 cents, not the 10 cents that we typically see here in Westchester. So thanks to all the members here for this law that went into effect, and hopefully we'll start seeing a shaving of some pennies, and every penny adds up when you're putting it into your gas tank. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kaplowitz, and thank you for introducing that legislation. Mr. Testa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know Legislator Ryan isn't here, but I'd like to be added to one of his resolutions for Fred DiDio, please. He's a Peekskill resident, World War II veteran. I'd like to be added to that.
We will add you to that, as well as I know that I'd like to be added to Mr. McCants, and I believe that other members would as well. Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to be added to Legislator Ryan's memorial resolution for Henry Charles McCants, and also to your resolution for your recreation.
Absolutely. Ms. Marcotte.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to add to the memorial resolutions the names of Antoinette Diarco Covell and James Houvain.
And James, who is the second one, ma'am?
Houvain.
Houvain. Thank you, Ms. Marcotte. Other members? Mr. Harcum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Under call of the districts, we often stand and speak about things as legislators. I would like to just share a brief cautionary tale as a parent and a father, particularly for those who are watching at home. Last Monday morning, I received a text from my wife saying that the FBI had called and wanted to meet with us at 2. So unfortunately, I left Legislator Ryan's Committee on Legislation, and I raced up to my house wondering what the FBI could possibly want with us. They were from the Cyber Crimes Division, and apparently they had arrested somebody in California who was under sealed indictment, but it had to do with crimes against children. And they found my daughter, who was then at 15, her AOL ID in a chat window in his records. And it was their duty to do the due diligence on everyone they found in his records, A, to make sure that they were okay, B, that nothing untoward had occurred, and C, that no crime had occurred. So first, I would like to thank the FBI for their due diligence. It was really remarkable that somebody who was arrested in California resulted in 2 FBI agents at our door. And secondly, at the time this happened, my daughter reported it to her mother, said this guy was, I won't use the language that she used, but she has my mouth, so you can imagine what she said. And they cut off, she cut off contact with this person, but this was a musician she had met at a music festival. So I would just like to say, all of the parents out there, it is really so important that don't assume you know what's going on when your child closes the door. In fact, we've had the DA into our committees to testify that at that age, they should not be in the room with the computer and the door closed. You should see their chat list. You should know their buddy list. You know, this stuff is real, and it's very, very dangerous. And thankfully, my daughter did the right thing. Thank goodness the FBI are as professional as they are. And this, at least for our household, had an okay outcome. But unfortunately, we don't know about those other families that this person was charged for crimes with. So again, just please be really careful. You know, this stuff is for real. It happens, and take care of your kids. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Harkin, for sharing. Other members? I believe, Ms. Perez, you will want to join us on Mr. Frazier. We also had a couple of other reports that we were requesting. The latest one is on Playland, to gather the latest figures for that. We did get a report. Our Chief of Staff, Lila Curtin, had the ask, following up on Mr. Bass's request on behalf of the committee for the Playland report. It was not complete. It had the attendance figures, but did not have the revenue as required by Act 211-189, which says we should have a weekly attendance and revenue figures compiled with the comparable week of 2011 for 2012, and broken up by specific categories. So we're looking for that information. Hopefully we'll get it and as a follow-up, so that we understand the things that are going on, and continue to try to resolve these particular issues. We did recommit an item tonight at the request of our colleagues regarding budget transfers. And last week, on Monday, we did a similar set of budget transfers that, just so members understand, are in the administration's hands to be able to execute, and therefore after-school and summer programs that are going on right now. We did put into the transfers a memorialization that would move those dollars further down, that the board could execute those items themselves. But again, at our colleagues' request, that we did that, put those items back into committee, but those programs are still essential, and they are summer programs that are going on right now, and members should know that the administration can execute those programs right now with the money that was transferred internally in the department. So they can execute that without any help and support from anyone else. So just a note. You're welcome. If we all could please rise to observe a moment of silence for those those individuals that were mentioned in the memorial resolution. Mr. Harkin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would move at this time that we adjourn and then we reconvene, if not on 7:30, definitely on August 6th.
On the motion of Mr. Harkin, the board stands adjourned.
Larry.
I know you did.
Larry, go
I looked at it and I was like, damn, what does she mean? And then I was like, oh, there's like, not prior to report. And I was like, you did. I was like, damn, got a smiley face and everything. I was like, oops, my bad.
You were so close to it. Oh, he's gonna.
I was really. Nope, no. I was like, yeah, why can't I do it? And I was like, oh yeah, we changed committees. My bad. Oops.